So we have been working on SOHCAHTOA problems. And one of the requirements, well, one major requirement for you to use SOHCAHTOA is that the triangle needs to be one specific triangle. And that is, it has to be right triangle. But for sine rule and cosine rule that we are going to talk about today and tomorrow, it does not need to be regular right triangle. It can be anything, including right triangle, but it can be any triangle. Okay. Now, in order for you to use a sine rule, it's imperative. You have to be able to recognize the setup. Okay. So you look at the triangle. Now, if I look at this example 1 that you see on this whiteboard, I know exactly, hey, this is the sine rule setup. Okay. Now, how did I know that? Well, it's because the setup is, now I explain to my students every year, and the setup when I teach sine rule, the setup is the keyword 2 pairs. Well, 2 pairs of what, right? Well, 2 pairs of an angle and opposite side. So now we are trying to figure out, let's take a look for this one, example number 1. You want to find AC, which is this part right here, right? So AC, that's X. We want to figure out what X is. Now, we've got 2 pairs of an angle, opposite side, angle on opposite side. If you have that, this is what I mean by 2 pairs. Does that make sense to you guys, everybody? So if you have an angle, opposite side, angle on an opposite side, that is a perfect setup for using sine rule. Okay. Got one more student. Now, how do you use it? How do you set it up? Well, here is the sine rule. And sine rule says sine of angle, right? Always angle comes after sine. Sine of angle over opposite side is sine of B over the opposite side of the angle, or sine of C over the opposite side. Now, of course, we're just using 2 pairs, so we're just going to use 2 fractions. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Now, I think if you look at the setup, I think it will hopefully make sense. So for example number 1, this is how you set it up, okay? And it doesn't matter whether you do the sine of angle over the opposite or the opposite side over sine of angle. You could use it this way or you could use this way. It doesn't matter. So the setup for example number 1 will be, it doesn't matter which pair you start with, but I'm going to do 58. Sine of 58 degrees to X, okay? That's the 1 pair. That ratio, the sine of 58 to the opposite side, is going to be equal to sine of 39 over 12. And that is the setup. Again, since we're just using we're trying to solve for X, we would not be needing the third pair. Only thing that we will need is just two pairs of angle and opposite side. Okay. And now let's cross multiply and solve it. Okay. So I will cross multiply the pair that has an x in it. So sine of 39 times x. And that will be equal to the other pair diagonal multiplied together. Sine of 58 times 12. Are you guys with me? And since you want to solve for x, let's get rid of the sine of 39. How do we do that? Let's divide both sides by sine of 39. Because that sine of 39 will cancel out. So x equals sine of 58 times 12 divided by sine of 39. So let's take out a calculator to do that. Sine of 58 times that by 12 divided by sine 39. What did you guys get? What do you have for x? Can everybody do that calculation right here? (16.2 centimeter). I'm sorry if I didn't give you enough time to sort of catch up on writing. Let me give you a minute to catch up on writing if you need to. So please write this down. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if anybody is wondering why there are 3 fractions in the formula. The reason is, but you only need to use 2 angles and 2 opposite sides, right, to solve. But since there are in triangle, there are 3 angles, right? Basically, the formula says that all the other sine of angle to the opposite side, the ratio is all the equal to each other with all 3 pairs. And that's what the formula says. But when we solve the problem, we only use 2 fractions. I hope that makes sense. Sine of 38. Did I put 38? No, this is 39. Yeah, you okay? So this is 39. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Maybe don't quite know what to ask even, maybe. I don't know. Let's do another example. Okay. Can we all move on? Is everybody good? Okay. Next one. Here it is. First of all, let's make sure that we all know what this means. Angle ACB. Sometimes you will see that little hook nose looking at the symbol ACB. Now, what does angle AC? Where is angle ACB? When you have somebody describing an angle with the 3 letters, the angle is always the middle letter, right? So when I see A, C, B, we're talking about this angle right here. You could possibly do, say, angle BCA. That's they are the same thing. But usually they use, if it's ACB or BCA, you will do the alphabetical ACB instead of BCA, but they are actually the same thing, okay? So we are talking about this angle right here, okay? So we want to figure out what the X is. Yeah, very good, Sophia. So now when you look at this problem, would you agree that this is a sine rule problem? Do you see that 2 pairs that I've been talking about? This is a perfect for sine rule problem because I've got angle, opposite side. So that's 1 pair, right? And then angle, which we don't know, but nevertheless, we're involving that angle, whoa, and opposite side. So we do have the 2 pairs, okay? So let's write down the problem in your notes. And then I want you to set up an equation. Let's just go up to the point. I just want to make sure that you have the right setup. So how would you set up the equation? Now, this time we are trying to figure out angle measurement, right? But let's just take one step at a time. Do you guys all have the fraction set it up? What is equal to what? So this is how you set it up. If you're still maybe struggling to figure out the equation, so you start out with the first pair. So I'm gonna do this pair. Sine of 37 is to 20, right? That's the first pair. So you do sine of 37 over 20, okay? Now let's do the next pair. Next one will be this pair. It will be sine of angle, which is x, right? Sine of x is to 15. Does that make sense? That's the setup there. Who's got the setup correct? Did you guys get that? You could have the fraction started with a sine of x over 15 equals sine of 37 over 20. That's okay too. Okay, very good. Now let's cross multiply, okay? Now just keep remembering. Remember that you're trying to ultimately solve for angle measurement, this one, right? But let's keep going. So let's cross multiply. Sine of x times 20 equals because always sine, cosine, tangent, whatever you're using, it's always sine of angle. Okay, it's always sine of angle measurement. You can't do sine of 15 because 15 is not the angle, is it? It's a 15 centimeter. That's the length of the side, but it has to be sine of angle measurement, right? Like a sine of 37, right? So we have to do sine of x because x is the angle measurement we are trying to find out. I don't know, does that make sense? So sine of x times 20 equals sine of 37 times 15. You guys doing okay? Now we want to solve for x, so let's first get rid of this 20. So I'm going to divide both sides by 20. You guys with me? Yeah. Parker, I don't know if Boatwright class were working on trig, but if you need to watch the video for 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3, okay. I hope you're able to, okay, very good. So now we've got sine of x equals whatever that is, right? Actually, let's do that, okay? So sine of 37 times that by 15 divide by 20. See that? Sine of 37, make sure you close the parentheses and times that by 15 divide by 20. I get 0.4516 now. 0.45136. Now, let me ask you a question. We are not quite done yet, though, right? How do you find the angle measurement? What do we do next? The final step. Do you guys remember what's the key word here? How do you find an angle measurement? You're going to, inverse, right? Inverse sine. To find the angle measurement, use inverse, right? So the final step will be x equals inverse sine of 0.45136. Okay. Now you don't want to round off that 0.45136 as 0.4 or 0.5 because your answer is going to be off a lot. So let's try to make sure that you get as much of the decimal as possible. Or, well, so let's use a 0.45136. Okay, so inverse sine of 0.45136, and you get 26.8 degrees. Is everybody getting that? Any questions so far? What do you guys think? Yeah, you guys doing okay? Wish I could see your faces and see how you're doing. let me see one to scale of 1 to 5. I know I do this all the time, but that's the only feedback that I'm getting. Where are you? 5, I've got this. Hey, I've done this before. I've got this. Where are you? Anybody feeling like a 2 or 3 or even 1? Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Anybody? Okay. Very good. Have you done this before? Sine rule. I know some of you have. I bet some of you have. Some school class, they don't cover sine rule, cosine rule anymore. Maybe some of you did. Yeah. Okay. Let's do the assignment. I've got the 6 problems today. Okay. They're all sine rules. So let's begin. Now okay, yeah, this is a good question here. So remember, we need 2 pairs, okay? Remember, 2 pairs. You guys all ready? Yeah. Now I want you to copy down this triangle. It's because this question will not be, doesn't have a good setup right away. We need to talk about, do something about it. So for that, I want you to copy down the triangle. Okay, now we need 2 pairs, right? Do we have 2 pairs? Well, first of all, what are we trying to figure out? We are trying to figure out AC. Where is that? It's right here. So let's put X right there. So we want to figure out the length of a side, AC. Okay, so that's what we are after. So now let's identify 2 pairs. It's the angle and the opposite side. Okay, now definitely I can see 1 pair, angle and opposite side. Isn't that 1 pair, right? Now where is the another pair? That's right, Sophia, you're thinking the right on the right track there. Now the next pair, we need the angle and the opposite pair. Now we've got the angle, but then there is nothing, right? We don't want to have another variable, y, or, you don't want to do, hey, y. You can't have 2 variables in the equations. You won't be able to solve it. But where is the second pair? And Sophia and Gentry is mentioning that the angles inside the triangle, this 3 angles, they add up to be 180. Now, if we know that this is 118, this is 22, can we figure out the angle C? Can we not do that? So let's do 180 minus 118 plus 22. 118 plus 22, 140. So 180 minus 140 is, yeah, so 40. Angle C is actually 40 degrees. And we're trying to figure out X. Now, do we have 2 pairs? And we do. One is, as we said, 22 and X. That's 1 pair. And then what's the other pair? The other pair is this 40 and 24. Now you've got the 2 pairs. Now you can set it up. Does that make sense, guys? So sometimes you do have to do a little bit of a groundwork in order for you to have the right ingredients, okay? So you should not be using 118 degrees. You can't use that, but rather we are going to use a 40 degree and 24. So let's set it up. So what's the setup? Sine of, I'm going to start out with a 22 degrees is to x, right? That's the matching pair. And that ratio is going to be equal to sine of 40 degree is to 24. Did you guys get that? Now let's cross multiply and solve for x. Can you share your answer in the chat? What do you guys get for x? Does anybody have the answer for number one? Very good. Very good. About 14. So it will be x times sine of 40. And that is equal to the other diagonal multiplied together. Sine of 22 times 24. This is called cross multiplication. Yeah. If you multiply diagonally, that pair is equal to the other diagonally multiplied. And we're going to divide both sides by sine of 40. So that cancels out. Yeah, so you could set it up as, you could do definitely sine of 40 over 24 equals sine of 22 over x. You could do that. That will be also, but if you cross multiply, you will still get the same thing. You could also write it as x over sine of 22 equals 24 over sine of 40. You could do that way. So all of them will work, essentially do the same thing. And then you get x equals 13.99, or if you round off to the 10th place, 14.0. I'm not gonna test you guys on like a rounding off skills, so please don't worry about that right now. On the multiple choice test question, your choices will not be between 13.99 or 14.0. I will not do that. Okay. So if you have gotten 13.99 or 14, okay, that's good. Let's do number two. So why don't you try number two all by yourself, and then let me see what your answer is going to be. Give me 1 minute. Where's my cell phone? Find my cell phone. I'll be right back. Okay, how are you guys doing on this? So first of all, let's identify what we are after, right? We are trying to figure out A, B. So let's put X on that. So A, B is right there. X is right there. Now, do we have two pairs? Angle, opposite side. Angle, opposite side, that's one pair. Then we've got another angle. I need to get a new tip for my pen. It's very choppy. Actually, I've ordered that yesterday from eBay. So here's the angle, opposite side. So we've got two pairs already set up, okay? So now let's set up so we are ready to set up an equation. So I'm gonna do the one with an X in it first, the sine of angle, always 53 is to X, okay? Sine of 53 is to X, that's the one pair. It's gonna be equal to sine of 44 over 7. Okay, now we cross multiply. X times sine of 44, or you can say sine of 44 times X equals 7 times sine of 53. And since you're solving for X, we need to get rid of sine of 44 so that you can have X equals, right? So to do that, I'm gonna divide both sides by sine of 44. That side cancels out. So X equals 7 times sine of 53 divided by sine of 44. How did it go, guys? Yeah. Very good. I think 8.04, right? Isn't that what you mean by that one? In this case, 8.04, 8.05, or 8.0. Very good. Or did I mess up? No. Am I doing all right? Okay, number 3. Sometimes there are questions within all the measurements that you don't really need extra measurements that you don't even use, okay? And that is the case for number 3. Okay, but first, let's identify what we are after. What are we trying to figure out? We are trying to figure out, now, when you see M, this little nose looking symbol, and C, this means it's a measurement. And then this symbol is an angle. So measurement of an angle C, that's what M stands for, okay? So measurement of an angle C, so where do we put X? We are trying to figure out the angle measurement this time, okay? Now, do we have 2 pairs? Okay, yeah, I think we do, right? Angle, opposite side, that's a 1 pair. And then we've got another angle, and then opposite side. So why is there a 16.1? Well, I don't know, but maybe just to confuse you, right? Or to testing you that you know that you should not be using 16.1. You don't want to use 16.1. And you don't need it. And as a matter of fact, you should not be using that. Okay, let's set it up. Actually, why don't you do that by yourself? Can you set it up? So the setup should be sine of angle. So sine of X is to 21. Right? That's the first pair. And the second one will be sine of 88 is to 26. Okay. Have that set up. I'm going to cross multiply. Sine of X times 26 equals the other pair, sine of 88 times 21. Since we want to solve for X, I'm going to divide both sides by 26. Okay, so we've got sine of X equals whatever that is. Let's figure out. So I get sine of 88 times 21 divided by 26. I get 0.8072, right? Now, by the way, if you have a graphing calculator like mine, there is a way to save this number long decimal. Do you guys know how to do that? If you're interested, please watch. There is a way, I'm going to teach you how to save this number into one letter, convenient place, so that you don't have to type in 0.8072, so that you can be very, very accurate in your answer. To save that, you're going to use this STO button. It's a store button, or in other words, you're saving it. So STO, that's a store. So where are you going to store it? So answer goes to, and then it just convenient place is this X button right here. You guys okay? I'm sorry. This is like a low tech way of showing how to do this, but you guys getting that? So I press store, and then automatically the arrow shows up, and then press X button right here, and then press enter. Now, anytime if you use the X button right here, this X button is all represents 0.807. Okay, so to find the X, the final step will be inverse sine of 0.8072. So I'm going to do inverse sine of that X button. Now you get 53.8. Okay. If that did not make sense, the storing button, don't worry about it. Okay, just use 0.8072. Don't just do 0.8 though, because inverse sine of 0.8 is 53.1. That's a little bit different, isn't it? Like that's 0.7 degree off. It's almost like a 1 degree off. So you don't want to use that. You want to be accurate about it. Okay. Okay. Try number 4. Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody need to see any part of the problem, guys? Do we have 2 pairs? So again, everybody should be working on number 4. So we want to find C. Again, definitely we've got 2 pairs, isn't it? Angle, opposite side, angle, opposite side. So this should be sine rule problem. So the setup is, again, we want to find the angle, this like number 3. Sine of x is to 19. That's the first pair. Sine of 97 is to 22. Let's cross multiply. Sine of x times 22 equals sine of 97 times 19. Since we want to find the x, let's divide both sides by 22. That 22 cancels out. So we've got sine of x equals, let's see, sine of 97 times 19 divide, oh, I forgot to close the parentheses. There's sine of 97, close the parentheses, times that by 19, divide by 22. So I get 0.857, okay? And then, since we want to find angle measurement, how do we find angle measurement? You might want to write this down again if this will be helpful to find the angle. What do? Use inverse. I hope you can remember that. If you're finding an angle measurement, you've got to use inverse, okay? So to find x, which is the angle measurement, right? So x equals inverse sine of 0.857, okay? So inverse sine of 0.857, you get 59 degrees. Nice job. How are you guys doing on this? Doing okay? Okay, we got 2 more problems here. Okay, keep going. You don't have to wait for me. Some of you are finishing up and already, but if you want to go along with me, let's work on number 5. Okay, so we need to have 2. Well, first of all, what are we trying to figure out? We want to find BC. Where is that? BC means it's the side of a triangle. BC, it's right here. So that X is that, okay? It's not an angle, it's the side, okay? Now, do we have 2 pairs? Definitely we do have 1 pair, right? That's 1 pair. Now, where is the other pair? Now, other pair should be this 16 and this angle, okay? We should not be using 58 degrees because 58 degrees, again, we don't know anything about it. You don't want to say, introduce another variable, y. You won't be able to solve that. But can we figure out the angle B? So to find an angle B, you've got to do 180 minus 58 and 93 combined. So 58 plus 93, that's 151. And you have to subtract that from 180. 151, that's 29 degrees. Would you agree with that? So first you find the angle B, which is 29 degrees. Now you've got the opposite pair, which is 16. So now you've got 2 pairs. You should not be using 58 degrees. All right, we've been working at it for some time, haven't we? Let's try to finish it up. So sine of, let's see, I'm going to start with the 93 degree is to x. Sine of 29 is to 16. cross multiply. Sine of 29 times x. Sine of 93 times 16. See how convenient it is to use cross multiplication in this type of problem. You had fraction, but now it's a single line equation. It's a lot easier to deal with, isn't it? You're going to divide both sides by sine of 29. So x equals whatever that is. Sine of 93 times that by 16 divided by sine of 29. 32.9, but then a round off, so 33. Okay. 32.95, 96, 33. All right, the last question. It's kind of skinny triangle, but can you identify two pairs? Okay, what is 120? Okay, this is not a good picture, is it? Oh, sorry. My bad. So this is 129. Can you guys just take a look at it? Stop for a second and see the whiteboard. This is a 129. This is 11. This is 33, and this is 25. It looks like 129 is this side, but it's not. 129 should be this angle. And what are we trying to figure out? We are trying to figure out angle A, which is this one right there. Now, can you identify two pairs? So we've got angle, opposite side, angle, opposite side. You should not be using 25. That's an extra to confuse you, right? And testing you whether you're using the right pair, okay? How do you set it up? You guys have the setup. So it should be sine of angle. So I'm going to use x first. Sine of x is to 11. That's the first pair. And the other pair will be sine of angle. So that I'm going to use 129 is to 33, opposite side. Let's cross multiply. Sine of x times 33 is equal to the other diagonal multiply together. Sine of 129 times 11. Let's divide both sides by 33. It's gone. So we've got so far sine of x equals whatever that is. Sine of 1. .259. Okay. Thank you, Crystal. Now let's figure out what x is. How do you find an angle measurement? Use inverse. Yeah? Is that what you're thinking about? So let's find the angle measurement. X equals inverse sine of 0.259. .15 degrees. Okay. Nice job, Deborah. Everybody with me? How do you feel, guys? This is the last question. I appreciate you guys for all the effort today. You feel good about this? Yeah? You feeling like a 5 now? If you still not quite confident, or if you have questions, please stop about 10 more minutes. You can stay in the class and please ask me questions. Otherwise, please make sure that you take a picture of this and submit in Canvas. Okay. I thank you guys for your participation, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys. All right. Have a great day, guys. Take care. Thank you. You guys. Okay, let's turn off the camera.